SAR USA P8L. Hefty chunk of stainless steel, stainless frame, stainless slide, stainless guide rod, ported barrel. Starting cold, first 10 shots. The ammo we're using for this is some CCI Spear Bulk Pack 115 grain. It's a cocked and locked gun. Does not decock, but it is an SADA. We have our standard ABC zone target at about 20 yards or so to aim at. I'm gonna try working this safety as I come up and down. I can tell you right off the bat, the grip fills the hand nicely. Feeling a little bit of recoil, the shock through the trigger, which is kind of interesting. But it's very controllable. Ran out of ammo. Always happens right as you're getting into it. That's a nice shooter. This could be a good test. Not sure if I was feeling the ports or not. You guys will know better than I do because you're looking at it from the 90 degree, but it felt fairly flat. Let's see what Tia thinks.
So apparently it's the P8L, not the PAL, which I thought was going to be, you know, the PAL. But let's see how this feels in my hand. I also, I had a little bit of experience with the double action single action decocker when we went to front sight, and so it's weird for me as I see that hammer back. I'm looking for that. So anyway. But I will try the safety. That's a long reach for me. Given that it's all steel, it's really heavy in my hand here. But it comes on target and shoots really flat.
Yeah, it's looking pretty.
As long as I don't flinch, we're hitting. And I'm out. I really like this. It's, you know, aesthetics are everything to a girl, and this one is really sexy. I especially like the rubber grip and the way that this sits really nicely in the hand. I'm pleased with it.
All right, so for those of you new to the channel, our battery of tests include full mag +1, because some guns fail that. Then we go into what's for dinner test. We're gonna shoot a spinner for trigger control and sight acquisition, shoot some groups, and then we'll give you our thoughts. As we get into the full mag +1, wanted to mention it came with two 17-round magazines. Notice that the mags from our old Mega 2000 fit as well. They're the exact same dimensions, but they are marked as 15-round magazines. While I'm reflecting on that, I'm trying to stuff this thing with 17 rounds. I got it to 16, it started getting harder on 12. Could not get the 17th in there. So, are these mags really 17-round mags? I don't know. I'm sure someone can Hercules it in, or if you had a loader. We always like to just use our hands because that's what a lot of folks do. So our full mag +1 test is going to be 17 rounds, but not 18. We have the ABC zone target out at 20 yards. Again, that's what I'm going to be aiming at. I'm going to try to shoot this rapidly. One, to speed up the video, and two, to get a better feel for how controllable the gun is at speed. Ideally, I hit the steel, but it is a reduced size piece of steel, so let's see how she runs. As I miss rapidly. There we go. Had to get a groove on it. You know, shooting it that quickly, and of course, slide locked open, that was that same Federal bulk ammo or CCI laser bulk ammo. Pretty darn controllable. I think with a different front sight, one that grabbed the eyes a little better, I would have been back on target really quick with how flat this was staying in my hand. Now let's get into the rest of the test. changes in turn, so it might result in different issues. Also, the different weight things is both at 65 grains and as heavy as 154 grain today will have a different pressure input to the recoil input, and the test is going to need a comment on what keeps smoothly and what doesn't, and you'll get to see what runs in the gun. Our first load is only 65 grains. This is a frangible round from Norma. Little pointy, looks a lot like the old ARX Inceptor stuff for circle number 1. Very light recoiling. Lock the slide back, no problem. Next up is the heavy duty Heavy Shot from Heavy Shot, only 100 grain, also frangible, lead free. Used to be an Oregon company and then it was taken over by Federal, snubby nosed. Circle number 2. A little more muzzle flip with this. But soft, it's kind of a snap and it smells a little bit like cinnamon.
They sounded authoritative.
For circle number 3, we've got the Norma MHP. This is a 108 grain hollow point. This feels more normal. Very comfortable to shoot. Seem to be airing a little left. This is an adjustable sight. If it proves that both T and I are shooting left, maybe we'll want to adjust it. Now some aluminum Blazer, 115 grain aluminum case. Really lightweight, affordable stuff. Sometimes the rate at which aluminum cools and expands doesn't make for good cycling in certain guns. Circle number 4. That popped way high. No cycling issues. Pretty smooth shooter. I think it's the weight of this all steel gun just soaking up the recoil. For circle number 5, we've got Wolf steel case 115 grain. This stuff tends to be a little bit snappy. Tia's giving me a look from behind the camera because she doesn't enjoy shooting it. This time I get to shoot it. Another high hit, but more centered this time, and no cycling issues. Slide lock back, and 2 of those shots were pretty close. Love the long sight radius on this thing.
Next course in What's for Dinner is the ZQI. Yeah, I can't remember all of that stuff today.
Nickel plated steel case, brass jacketed, 124 grain.
Awesome. For circle number 6. And for circle number 7, we've got the Norma Hexagon 124 grain. That definitely has a more authoritative punch to it. Noticing the front dot on the front sight is larger than usual, which is somewhat distracting, but I'm getting used to it. And for circle number 8 is the Spear Gold Dot 124 grain. These are a little snubby. I think I told you circle 8. Those have an automotive odor to them. Pretty consistent though.
Yeah, they sounded good. and that it looked less flippy in the hand with those.
Browning BXP 147 grain. These are sexy little rounds with the black. Graham will tell you what kind of casing that is.
Black nickel-plated cases.
Black nickel-plated casing.
And a silvery bullet.
Yes. Circle number 9. The weight of this gun lends me some confidence for some reason. It's really only the front sight post that I would change at this point.
And I believe it's a CZ75 front sight, so it should be easy.
New in What's for Dinner are these 154 grain subsonic full metal jacket from Ruag
Made
for
in
circle
Hungary.
number 10. What's that?
They're made in Hungary.
Made in Hungary. Maybe I am hungry. Very pleasant.
You can hear
I
they're
like
subsonic.
those. I mean,
Wow. Nice shooting.
it didn't change. I had very little recoil, which didn't make me wince, flinch, or anything else while I was shooting. Those were really nice.
It also looks like the trigger's smoothing out a little bit.
It does seem to. The trigger does seem to be just doing what it's supposed to do real nicely.
Which will be great because coming up next is the spinner test.
Yay!
How many rounds are we going to try this time?
10.
10 rounds, all right. So the spinner test, we have our Titan Great Outdoors 6-inch spinner about 13 yards out. And the idea is you got to hit this thing while it's moving away from you to try to get it to spin all the way over the top. If you hit it while it's coming towards you, you kill momentum and you've just wasted a shot. The more you're hitting it, the faster it's moving, the harder it is to hit. It's a fun game. The usefulness for it though is how well do these sights and this trigger work for pseudo-stressed timed shots to be able to hit this over the top. It's also, of course, how well can we learn these sights and trigger, but you've seen this in enough videos to know when one gun does better than another. The P8L has the advantage of a longer barrel, so longer sight radius, energy on target, so it should do well, requiring less hits. We've allowed ourselves 10 shots this time.
Waiting for it to get slow like I like it.
Then it's hard to hit it over the top.
I mean, I was not really. Oh, and I'm out again. But I felt better about that time. Really easy to get on target. The front sight, which I was not enjoying earlier, I found was helpful for this exercise. What I'm really curious about is just if that really is 13 and maybe not like 12 and a half. So I'm going to go get the laser rangefinder and determine.
Now, it noticed that some of your shots were happening just a moment later than I would have taken them. Was any of that the trigger not being predictable enough for you, or is it just a difference in shooting style?
What causes that delay for me typically is second guessing myself and trying to control moving that trigger or squeezing the gun, knocking myself off target. It's an issue I've had since I first started learning to shoot with more precision in the military. It's something I really need to overcome.
So is this trigger predictable enough for you?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was. I second guessed myself.
It happens. All right, it's my turn with 10 shots. This is once again that same CCI Blazer 115 grain bulk stuff.
Oh, it's That's pretty awesome.
So what happened to me there was, it's a really comfortable gun to shoot. Like, now that we spent some time with it, it's very comfortable. And I caught myself relaxing in opening up my left eye. Those of you who don't know, I'm actually left-handed and left-eyed. I just shoot right because that's the way the guns come, and it makes a more fair review for you. So I have to close my left eye to become right eye dominant, otherwise the sights get off. So I got in that groove, and that thing was hitting nice and easy, delivering good energy, very predictable trigger. Once you get some time on it, my left eye would open, and then suddenly my sights were askew. But yeah, even though the brake, in fact, I'll do this left-handed so you can see, the brake kind of rolls through versus being super crisp. So that makes it not to the thousandths of a second or whatever predictable, but it's fairly predictable and worked well here. Next, we're going to do some accuracy and then give you our closing thoughts.
So in conclusion, we always test 5 rounds for accuracy from about 7 yards. We're going to be using the Norma Hexagon 124 grain, and I'm going to be aiming at the right circle square, although I really don't know my left from right today very well. I said right, yeah, okay.
My turn for 5 shots from 7 yards, also using that Norma Hexagon 124 grain. Got some nice burn marks showing up from these ports. It's kind of cool. Let's see how this does.
What I noticed while shooting that when I was coming back on sights is I was bringing it down from the right. I don't know if I've ever paid attention before, but I was able to notice that on this particular gun. I've mentioned before that the dot on the front sight post is very large, and that it doesn't allow for much of the kind of sight picture that I've been trained to recognize. But I still love shooting this gun. It's nice and heavy, but not too heavy to make it uncontrollable in my hands. The rubber grips, I think, kind of help stabilize that and mitigate some of that recoil. All the fluting on it, of course, is sexy. And, it did not shoot as nicely when we started as it's shooting now. And I think that's probably typical for all guns, but I'm noticing it absolute more now. The trigger is getting smoother, and the manageability of it is easier for me now.
We're kind of laughing here. Tia caught out of the corner of her eye that I nearly flinched in shooting my 5-shot group there. Caught it last second. I think maybe that slight sponginess to the brake on the trigger is what saved me. Had it been crisper, I would have thrown a shot. I agree with Tia on this thing. The more we shoot it, the more I like shooting it. We had also discussed off camera, I don't think, it's not a gun that needed to be broken in, but it is a gun that's breaking in. To parallel that with getting a new couch, for example, it's comfy at first, but it doesn't have your spot yet. This gun is starting to have the spot. I don't know what that says about long-term wear. Maybe it's just the rough edges kind of smooth out and then it sails on forever like a traditional break-in. That's what I would assume. I mean, all stainless steel construction, I don't think anything's gonna be wearing out anytime soon. I also agree with Tia on the sights. It's a little hard to do a true top edge to top edge sight picture when the front dot is so large and so high up on the post, as you saw in the tabletop video. But you know, we tried this gun out just kind of on a whim. just wanted something different, getting tired of striker fired plastic guns. Hammer fired all steel, kind of the opposite. And it's been really refreshing to shoot and quite pleasant. I'm still not sure what role this gun would serve for people looking for a specific role gun. No rail means you're not putting a lighter laser on it. All steel construction heaviness means it's probably not a carry gun. But it still is a fun gun to shoot. Pretty enjoyable, and if you get a chance, I recommend checking one out. Thanks for watching.